Hello, I'm Phil Windley, the CTO of Kinetics. Today I'd like to introduce you to a powerful vision for social products and services, sometimes called the Internet of Things. Over the past 15 years, the web has profoundly and irreversibly changed our lives. Social products and services, or more simply social things, will affect us even more. Everything that can be connected to the Internet will be. We're already seeing early examples of this. My TiVo is online. The Nest thermostat has a Wi-Fi connection. So do the Withings scale and an LG refrigerator. But what happens after everything is online? Will they merely connect to the Internet, or will they work together? And how will we tell them what we want them to do? Consider the TiVo. It's online, connected to the Internet. My TiVos talk to each other and to TiVo, but nothing else. If I want my phone to automatically go to voicemail whenever I start watching a movie, I'm left to hope that TiVo and the phone manufacturer somehow cut a deal. You can see how ludicrous that is to even imagine. What's more, we might conceive of each having an API and tying them together with an iPhone app, but that only works when I use the app. It won't work when I use the TiVo remote, because rather than my TiVo and my phone working together, they're both being controlled by an app. What's more, we're missing some of the most important interactions if things have to be invited to each conversation. Imagine everything you own online. You won't have time to wire them all together. You won't want to initiate all of the interactions between your products. You want them to speak up when something important happens. The answer to this problem is an event network. Unlike a typical request-response API, evented products and services signal when something happens rather than waiting to be asked. They're real-time and dynamic. Event-driven systems are more loosely coupled, allowing everyone to play, and thus enable an any-to-any world without requiring upfront one-to-one relationships. An any-to-any world can't be built on a foundation of one-to-one relationships. Event networks span the silos that modern web services create. More importantly, event networks can bridge the world of connected products and online services, making them work together. What's needed is a personal event network. Think of it as a personal cloud that knows about me and sees events, signals that something happened from all the products and services I use. Apps in my personal event network use those events, my preferences, and what's happened previously to personalize my interactions with products and services and to orchestrate cooperating groups of products and services. When products and services start working together to accomplish our purpose, reacting to gestures that signal our intent, many of the mundane tasks of our daily lives can be automated. People will see more value from the things they use every day. Let me show you how evented products and services make one person's life simpler for just one use case: business travel.
I'd like to walk you through an example that highlights the value of a personal event network. In this example, I'll show you how to get the products and services that you use in your life to cooperate, something that cannot be done with today's products, easily, cheaply, or at scale. The example will demonstrate that significant value is unlocked when products and services become social and begin cooperating and coordinating with each other. This simple scenario shows a business professional making a business trip. Phil is a salesman making a typical business trip to see a new client in San Francisco. Any business trip includes many activities and requires interaction with many different products and services. Phil has activated several apps on his personal event network, including Trippies, that coordinates the products and services he uses when he travels. The Trippies app we demonstrate on the personal event network is fictional, one that we've designed for this example. We've also assumed that Expensify, OpenTable, Marriott, Avis, and other services are event-enabled so that they can participate in the personal event network. Phil has set up an on-site visit with his best new customer, John Adams, in San Francisco. After confirming with John, Phil schedules the meeting in his calendar. Behind the scenes, a new appointment event is raised to Phil's personal event network. Several applications Phil uses are tracking these events and respond by taking action on Phil's behalf. For example, Phil's calendar app, seeing the new appointment event, fills out the appointment details using data from Salesforce. Meanwhile, rules in the Trippies app react to the same event, recognize the appointment is in San Francisco and that Phil will need to travel. Trippies uses Phil's preferences from past trips, interacts with service APIs from the various vendors Phil uses, and marks up Phil's calendar to present him with choices about potential flights, hotel rooms, and rental cars. Phil makes choices about flights, hotels, and cars. In the background, events are raised by Phil's choices, causing rules in the TripEase app to book travel using his preferences, reward programs, and company discounts. The confirmations are automatically added to Phil's calendar. TripEase raises a new business trip event, causing an Expensify app to create an expense report. On the day of his trip, Phil drives to the airport. When Phil gets to the airport, his smartphone signals a location event. TripEase responds by signaling a Trip Began event, and the Expensify app opens his expense report. Expensify will now automatically add new credit card purchases to the expense report for this trip. Because Expensify and TripEase are cooperating, Expensify has more context around purchases and can make better categorization decisions without Phil's involvement. After a short flight, Phil lands at San Francisco Airport. Arriving at SFO causes his smartphone to signal a location event. TripEase responds to the location event by raising an event indicating Phil has arrived at SFO. Avis responds to this event by preparing the car and paperwork for Phil. Avis raises a car rented event to the vehicle assigned to Phil. The car responds to the event by personalizing the car. Radio presets and climate controls are set to Phil's preferences, and the GPS downloads his itinerary from his Google Calendar, calculating his routes. For the duration of Phil's visit, his rental car has become part of his personal event network, his personal cloud. Phil goes to his meeting and then to the hotel. When he arrives at the hotel, he is greeted by name, asked about his trip, offered a room he liked when he stayed here before, and given the keys to the exercise facility. When Phil was 15 minutes away from the hotel, his GPS raised the near-destination event. Marriott was listening for this event and responded by preparing the room to his preferences and greeting him by name. The near-destination event was also seen by OpenTable, and Phil was presented with several nearby choices for dinner based on his preferences. The next morning, Phil leaves the hotel and starts for the airport. Later, Phil arrives back home. Phil's smartphone raises a location event. TripEase sees the location event and raises an end-of-trip event. Expensify sees the end-of-trip event and events indicating Phil's hotel stay and gas purchases, adding them to the expense report. Expensify closes the expense report and notifies Phil that the expense report is ready for his review. Phil approves and submits the expense report. Today I've highlighted the flexibility of a personal event network for a single use case, showing how many existing products and services can cooperate on a business traveler's behalf, making Phil's travel simpler and more convenient. This obviously isn't limited to business travel. Imagine a world where your personal cloud encompasses your home, workplace, anywhere you are, coordinating products and services in your office, your home, and even your Little League team. For example, the temperature in your house adjusts when you're near home. Your TiVo automatically pauses when you get a phone call. Your car alerts when it needs a charge to get to your next appointment. You get the idea. Personal event networks usher in a new era where social products and services communicate, cooperate, and collaborate to help customers get what they want and need.
Phil's travel experience shows the power of a personal event network. Now imagine hundreds, even thousands more use cases in a world where millions of things are online. The possibilities are only bounded by your imagination as you mix and match online products and services. The personal event network and apps that run on it are real. They exist today. There's an open specification for adding events to APIs. Kinetics has spent the last 5 years working on the concepts that enable personal event networks. Kinetics has built and open-sourced the Personal Event Network platform and the language that powers it. We're building apps that work on personal event networks now. Go to personaleventnetworks.com and log in with your Twitter or Facebook account to reserve your personal event network.